mute. There we go. Just move those out of the way. So I like to move around. I'm sure I'll trip over them if I don't. So. Morning, Life Church. Brilliant worship, not by might, not by power, but by the Spirit of the Lord, the Spirit of the Lord. The Lord is my shepherd. Oh, not working. Nearly working. When I think about this really well-known part of the Bible, possibly the most well-known part of the Bible, this morning I've been reading and reflecting on over a number of weeks. And we'll read it together to start with. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I've been reading and reflecting on this over a few weeks now. I'm particularly struck by those first 5 words. The Lord is my shepherd. And I wanted to reflect on that and think about that and share that with you this morning and think about 3 things. What is a shepherd? Do we need a shepherd? And why the Lord as a shepherd? Because I don't know, maybe you've read this many times or you've heard this many times. But actually in those 5 words, there is something so wonderful, something so amazing for each of us. And what it means for us. So what is a shepherd? I don't know how many of you have encounters with shepherds nowadays. No, not many. Some, yeah, okay, some of us do. Not many of us have encounters with shepherds. We may see sheep around in fields nearby us. We may occasionally see someone with them, looking after them. But flocks of sheep and goats were so important in the culture and society of God's people, the people of Israel, throughout the Bible and the history of Jewish people. And shepherds were so important there. If you look back in the Bible, Abraham and Isaac, as traveling families, relied so much on the livestock that they took with them, as they traveled throughout the land, the livestock they owned that would have been looked after by shepherds. Jacob, Isaac's son, or who became known as Israel, worked as a shepherd with his fiancée Rachel. Moses was a shepherd for a period. David, who wrote this psalm, was a shepherd. As we reflect on the Lord is my shepherd, I wonder what you think of when you think of a shepherd and what a shepherd is. I wonder what comes to mind. Maybe it's people with tea towels on their heads around a campfire being surprised by angels. Maybe it's someone with a black and white sheepdog and a crook, maybe a flat cap, possibly even a Land Rover in some green hills somewhere with a big crowd of sheep around them. On holiday a couple of weeks ago, we saw some sheep crowding around this big yellow JCB bale loader thing with a sheepdog on the JCB. I don't think it was driving it. There was a guy there unloading something into the field or sorting out a feed or some water trough. And interestingly, I was looking and I found this head shepherd job description on the DWP website actually earlier this week. It says this: "We're seeking a head shepherd to manage our flock as an essential part of our regenerative arable business at Lighthouse Farm. This role carries significant responsibility, ensuring the sheep contribute effectively to improving soil health by increasing organic matter, enhancing fertility, optimizing nutrient cycling, and reducing pesticide use." And you thought it was just looking after sheep. One of Lauren's cousins, actually, why she has interactions with shepherds, is a shepherdess. And she's not out on the fields or on the hillsides all the time. She's actually a hairdresser as well. But she does have a dog and a Land Rover. And she spends a lot of time ensuring her sheep are well fed, are watered, safe, looking after sick animals, getting calls from the people in the land around her where her sheep are kept, saying her sheep have escaped and she needs to go and rescue them and bring them back there, and spending a lot of time looking after them, birthing the lambs when it comes to the springtime as well. It's a big responsibility. It's a big responsibility. And even more so in David's time. Sheep were a significant source of food and clothing for the people, the Jewish people, and part of the Jewish sacrificial system as well. They played a key part in people's relationship with God. So the shepherd was a really important role in looking after the sheep, the livelihood of people at that time, the people being looked after, looking after their food, the things that would help clothe them, the things that were part of their religion, their relationship with God, ensuring that there were plenty of sheep ongoing. They're responsible for the welfare of the sheep, ensuring that they have everything they need to survive and to thrive. The food, the water, the protection from predators, from other dangers, a rescuer when the sheep get lost, attacked, injured. So when David is speaking about the Lord as shepherd, he's thinking about a shepherd as protector, as provider, as carer, as guider, as rescuer, as the one that the sheep follow to get what they need in life. So that's what a shepherd is. But do we need a shepherd? Do we need a shepherd? David speaks of God as my shepherd. And in Genesis 48 as well, we read that Jacob, the father of Joseph, who I mentioned before, on his deathbed, speaks of God like this: "The God before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has been my shepherd all my life to this day, the angel who has delivered me from all harm." He speaks of God as a shepherd of all of his life. And throughout the Bible, the need for a shepherd is stated again and again. You can read in Numbers 27, Moses, when he's leading the people out of Egypt. And he's led them through the years, through the desert. And he speaks to God and he asks God to appoint his successor. And he says, so that the Lord's people will not be like sheep without a shepherd. If you read Ezekiel 34, you get a beautiful prophetic picture of the people of God as sheep, and God as the shepherd who endlessly cares for them, who endlessly seeks them out, time and time again, seeking out his people, calling them to him, rescuing them, bringing them back into safety, back into places of abundance, back into relationship with him. And then Jesus takes up the theme as well. We read in Matthew 9 and John 10 in the Bible, Jesus sees the people harassed and helpless like a shepherd, and has like sheep without a shepherd, and has compassion on them. And then he calls himself the good shepherd who lays down his life for the sheep. And maybe they needed a shepherd like thousands of years ago, didn't they? Living in more of a rural and a pastoral life, looking to survive in the midst of wild animals, tribal warfare, without all the information and insight we have now. Perhaps the wildest animal we come across is a little yappy dog or something like that. We can provide food and water for ourselves, can't we? We've got houses, we can kind of provide protection for ourselves. So do we really need a shepherd now? I'm sure most will say we're not some kind of dumb sheep that just follows things around. We can forge our own path, can't we? We don't need a shepherd. I was looking and I could find lots of quotes about being a leader and not a follower. I was looking for something particular. But actually, when it comes down to it, we all follow something. Mike Caine, not the actor, but a minister and an author, says, "The fact is we are all followers, swept along by a flow of circumstances and experiences, ideas and people. Even our best attempts to swim against the tide are strangely conformist." We all follow something. We're shaped by the world around us. We're shaped by the things around us that we take in, that we read, that we see, the people around us. We're shaped by those things. Even if we don't think we follow. Even if we think, no, I'm forging my own path. I'm not following anyone else. Our desire to not follow can be shaped by other people who we see as not following, and can be shaped by the world's emphasis to tell us that we're number one, that we should be following our own path. We're all followers of something. And things in the world tell us that we should be ourselves as well. They tell us we should be ourselves. We should be independent. We should be in control of our lives. We want control and certainty in our lives. I know I'm much more happy when I've got a bit of certainty. I know what's going on. I've got a bit of control. I know this is going to happen and this is how it's going to work there. I think on our holiday we were bringing a bit of certainty and control to the chaos of and uncertainty of my family, my wider family there. We need a bit of certainty and control in our lives. It brings a sense of security, which is one of our deepest needs as people. And the world can sell us all kinds of products and services that will help us to be in control, or will mitigate areas where we're maybe not so in control. But actually, there's a very small portion of our lives that we can control. And actually, it's only when things that we thought were secure are removed from us that we see the truth about the level of control we actually have in our lives. Our true ability to really provide for ourselves separate to the influence of anyone and anything else around us. Our true level of control over our health and our body. Our true ability to provide, to rest, to protect ourselves and others. And I find my tendency, and I think our tendency in response to a loss of control, is to try and grab more tightly onto other things. It's to try and control more in other areas. Find those things that we can control. When there's this chaos going on here, I need to find something else that I can grip onto and I can control, and try even harder. And often that can lead us to try and control other people. And that's something that's really harmful to them and to us, and not something that we're called to, because the only thing we're called to control, the only people we're called to control in the Bible is ourselves. Self-control. And I loved Becky's message last week, if you were here and heard it. I loved how she talked about the whole message about the importance of acknowledging our weakness, of knowing our weakness, and recognizing our shape and our boundaries, and that actually we need to let go of the things that we aren't, the things that we can't be. Letting go of that desire to be in control. I was reminded the other day of what's known as the Serenity Prayer. I should have put it on a slide. I don't know why I didn't. But it says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. You know, we have a level of control. We serve a God who is all-powerful, who can influence, can change things, can make a difference, can make things happen, make the impossible happen, the impossible for us. But sometimes with those things that we cannot change ourselves, we need to let go of them. Maybe we need to give them to God. We need to let go of them, because peace isn't found in trying to control more and more things. We can provide for ourselves. We can provide for those we love some protection, some food, some water, some care to some extent, but we aren't in control of everything. And then as well, as we think about if we need a shepherd, I find that when I try to meet my needs and meet my family's needs, I don't always get it right. I don't always do it in the best way. I have that tendency to see a need and want to meet it, and then kind of, I guess, go beyond that need into what I want and into there. And our desires are based on our basic needs, but as we focus on ourselves and what we think we need and what we want, that can lead us down paths that are unhelpful as we go focused into ourselves and our needs, and we forget then to see the wider picture around us. We can look to meet our own needs in ways that aren't helpful to us and others. A Jewish prophet in the time before Jesus, a guy called Zechariah, said this: "Ask the Lord for rain in the springtime. It's the Lord who makes the storm clouds. He gives showers of rain to men and plants of the field to everyone. The idols speak deceit. Diviners see visions that lie. They tell dreams that are false. They give comfort in vain. Therefore people wander like sheep oppressed for lack of a shepherd." And I think a lot of the time that's what the world does. It gives false dreams. It gives false comfort based on our control and our desires and our self-fulfillment. Those pictures and adverts that promise a happy, beautiful, fulfilled life if we buy this product or go on this holiday. But they don't really care about you. They don't really care about you. And this freedom in going our own way, this freedom in going our own way, in meeting our own needs, in our independence, all it leads to, as Zechariah says, is oppression for lack of a loving shepherd who truly cares for us and our real needs. Not just being lost, not just wandering as the sheep are, but it's an oppression against us. I can try and do my best. I can try and forge my way, but really, I need a shepherd. And I think we all need a shepherd. And I wonder this morning if there's a particular area where you need a shepherd today, or this week, where you need a shepherd to provide some of that care, that protection, that provision for you. We mentioned that Jacob and David recognized they weren't in control. They needed shepherding. They needed feeding, watering, protecting beyond what they could control. And they found God as their shepherd. They found the Lord as their shepherd, Yahweh, Father, Creator. But why the Lord as our shepherd? Well, I guess the start from what I found is that God is not some impersonal spirit or force. And they found this, that he is a God they could know. He is someone they could know personally. He is someone who introduces himself as, I am. The one who is truly self-sufficient in this universe. The only one who is independently themselves, outside of everything else, without need of anything else. God, the very essence of what being is all about. And an author called David Gibson, in his book that I've been reading, The Lord of Psalm 23, paints this wonderful picture, saying that as we read this psalm, David comes alongside you as you read. He puts his strong shepherd's crook around your shoulder and he pulls you in so you can hear him tell you that the God of heaven can meet your every need precisely because he is the one who has no need of anything himself. Why the Lord as our shepherd? Because he is able and he is self-sufficient. He's the one who knows you fully. He's the one who knit us together, who sees you, who sees your hurt, who sees your joys, who sees your struggles, who sees your needs. He sees you fully. And Jesus took up that theme. As I said, I am the good shepherd. Jesus said, I am the good shepherd who lays down his life for the sheep. I've come to give life and life to the full. Jesus is God. He died, as we celebrated so wonderfully in communion. He died so that we can be right with God, so that we can know him. We can have life to the full. And that life to the full isn't deceiving ourselves that we're independent, that we're not following anyone, that we're forging our own path. It's not self-soothing our pains with food or entertainment or thrill. It's thriving and living in the abundance and the comfort and the peace that is only found in the presence of God. Guiding our lives is depicted in this psalm. The Lord as our shepherd means ever-present, all-powerful God is the one who cares for your welfare, that you have what you need to grow and to thrive. He is the one who promises to be our shepherd and to be with us always. This is my shepherd. This is your shepherd. And the rest of the psalm goes on to beautifully outline this peace and provision and comfort and protection and abundance and everlasting security we find with the shepherd. I don't know about you, but when I was younger, we used to sing hymn, The Lord is My Shepherd, in the church I was part. And I thought the bit is from the King James translation that we read earlier. That bit at the start where it says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, meant the shepherd that I don't want to have. The Lord is the shepherd that I don't want to have. But as I grew older, learnt and studied more and read more modern translations, it's clearer that is not about the shepherd we don't want. It's the shepherd, and then we will not be in want. We will not be lacking anything. He provides rest in places of abundance and safety, lying down in green pastures. It speaks of leading us by quiet waters, places of peace instead of chaos, places for refreshing and restoration of our soul, our whole, guiding us out of our self-focused ways of emptiness and destruction into ways of being in right relationship with God and right relationship with others, God's ways. Comfort in the place of the shadow of death. The shadow of death is fear. In places and times of fear, we can rely on God's presence with us. That whatever happens, he is there. Whatever happens, he is there, and our eternal future is secure. A table in the presence of our enemies, blessing and favor in that place of adversity, being set apart, anointed with oil, and our cup overflows. There is so much that God longs to give us. There is so much good. There is so much abundance. What we have overflows. And then our future position is secure in the house, in the household, in the family, in the dwelling place, in the home of the ever good, ever loving, great shepherd. You know, the world goes on around us, the dangers, the temptations, the snares, the hurts, and we're still in the world. We're still in this world. We're not removed from it, but in the presence of the shepherd, Jesus, with us forever. That's where we find rest. That's where we find abundance. That's where we find comfort and safety in the midst of this, in the knowledge of his love for us and his presence with us. God, the creator of the universe, has shepherded many in the past. We still need a shepherd today to provide for us in this difficult world where we strive to control and to make our own way. He's there, ever present, by his Spirit, living in us, empowering us to be our shepherd, to lead us to peace, to contentment, to real life. The all-loving, all-sufficient, ever-present one. This is my shepherd. This is your shepherd. But the shepherd is only our shepherd if we follow him. The shepherd's only our shepherd if we follow him. But his grace is so great. His grace is so great. Jesus tells the story of the shepherd that the shepherd that has 100 sheep. 99 are with him and safe. One has gone missing. And the shepherd goes after and finds that one. The shepherd goes after and finds that one. That shepherd, that sheep, has gone away. But the shepherd goes to find that one, to bring that sheep back, to follow him once again. So today, I'd encourage you to say, the Lord is my shepherd. Choose to follow him into rest, into real peace, real abundance, real satisfaction of our deep needs, and choose to follow him again, and choose to follow him again every day, each day, in each situation. Amen. 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 Maybe today you need some restoration of your soul. You need some shepherding. You've heard that call of Jesus to follow, but you've gone a different way. You've gone off that path, or maybe you haven't followed and you're not sure how or if you want to respond. I'm going to read the psalm again, Psalm 23, and as I do, let it wash over you. Speak to God about it. And afterwards, speak to someone else. Speak to me, speak to Ria, to Beth, to Matt, to Lauren, or someone else you trust. And we'll pray with you into that situation. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. Amen.
You beat me to it. Let's just give James another round of applause.